give the email for everybody. Just send me a personal chat mail.
Yes. Do you have any time frame ideas? What is the developing schedule? Well, it's of course to establish the JTC as soon as possible, to bring it up in operations in next year, and then to define the different work packages for the standardization work. And that depends, of course, on the starting discussions with the experts and with the resonance which we get for the JTC. Then next question would be from Frank. What is not covered today in the different existing groups? What is not covered today in the different existing groups? And from your point of view, needs a JTC? In brackets gap analysis you have done.
I think, Michael, the main gap is that we have no JTC, or that we have no table to bring the work together. What we addressed, there are several parts of the solutions, and several solutions are already in the world, and that's the main gap. The thing is that we find in defining the framework and the system and the ecosystem, we will find more and more parts which need interoperability standards or filling the gaps. And that is also to be discussed if it may be in the several TCs or in the JTC, depends on what at least is a gap, what is to be filled.
Yep, I hope this answers the question. Then a couple of email addresses. Thank you very much. Next question will be, will DPP data require third-party certification in the future or self-declaration? If it's a self-declaration, how do you ensure the authenticity of the data and the accuracy?
At least this is a sector. Yeah. Sebastian, perhaps you will answer this.
Yeah, I think this are legal aspects we can't answer, but what we can say is the methods and the techniques to do this. This has to be addressed in these JTC. Think about this and the possibility to do this and have a trustworthy data supply chain. All these aspects has to be covered, but the need, this is a legal aspect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Next question, Daniel Zhao. In the future, will regulators at the EU level provide an official DPP platform for enterprises to generate DPPs in a standardized format? Or can enterprises choose their own data management platforms individually to generate different versions of DPPs, which are then submitted to the regulator's platform for monitoring?
We had the question already. This is only the comment below, which is new.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Florian. Right. The question told me already something. So the next question
is that the network, the next one?
The next question would then be how the DPP JTC will be coordinated with Sensenlec JTC 24 activities. I think, oops, did I now end up? I think this was also covered in the past. It is a matter of having well identified the need for cooperation and to start then discussions with Sensenlec JTC 24 in order to agree the next steps forward. So it's a clear yes, it will be coordinated. I think I lost now track of the questions as I...
No worries, I can take over. And there is again one with some comments, and then the next one is, In Germany, initiatives like Gaia X and data spaces are progressing. Will the frameworks and standards being considered in this JTC influence the design of data spaces globally?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. So the data space development standardization itself is made in other technical committees, like the subcommittee 38 in the JTC1, but also in IEC there are activities, and there are activities beside the data space development, and the is very next to the DPP topics and the DPP ecosystem, but at least there are to be defined requirements what we need for DPPs and for the for international accepted framework from the data spaces, but the data spaces itself were not addressed, are not addressed.
And next one would be.
Do you want to add something on that?
No, that's fine for me.
Okay.
Next one would be, how does this initiative relate to the ISO PWI 25534-1 led by TC 154 Working Group 9?
Well, I'll take that answer. Of course, also in TMB, we are well aware of the different activities. TC 1454 is one of the major TCs also taking care about the digital product passport, of course, with the background of trade. So with the preliminary work item, I think this is ongoing, but we observe the other activities of TC 154, and there is an agreement with ISO that we have to look into that once the JTC is founded, and then agree what the next reasonable steps are in the one or the other direction. So cooperation in the future is the key.
Next one from Alexala. How does the JTC DPP decide which areas, industries, products to focus on? Or is it limited to abstract generic frameworks?
At least it addresses generic framework, and it needs the requirements out of the sector, industries, and product focuses. Because if you address the generic framework and you put into the generic framework some decisions on the framework which make it impossible to implement or to use it in areas or industries, so that will be a big problem. So it's not sector focused, that is in the sector TCs and so on. It's generic to bring the sectors together.
Yeah, I would like to add on that quickly. It is of course also a matter on the experts who are interested to join the JTC. Of course, it's the experts of your countries determining then also the necessary fields of scope, and it is therefore a very standard process, which is well known by the standardization community.
So we slowly come to less new questions. There's two more I can see. One from Heng Jiang. Is there a gap analysis report for the new JTC?
Again?
If there is a gap analysis report for the JTC.
I think there is no formal gap analysis report. What we did very seriously, we looked, of course, into the different solutions and sector-specific solutions which are there for the DPP. And we understood that there is a need for cross-sectional and common solutions, and therefore the idea of having the joint JTC, which provides the cross-functional, cross-sectoral elements, was born.
And then the next and last one I see is if there is any chance to summarize